Hello, and welcome to Hello Sister, a Vampire Diaries podcast with a magical twist.
We're your hosts, Christina Rosso-Schneider
and Brenna Dinon. Christina, how are you doing today? It's been actually a minute since we've recorded.
I know, it's been a minute because you've been traveling all over. I'm so glad to see you. I'm glad you've made it back in one piece.
Thank you so much. Had the most horrific travel experience of my life. I will not regale that tale because it literally will take an entire podcast to explain it. But how was your time away from the booth?
I mean, it was really weird, honestly, not to just be watching and talking about the Vampire Diaries the whole time. But I did a lot of writing, and Alex and I had a little anniversary date.
Nice.
And I didn't even tell you this off camera. I just today heard from, because I just got paired with an editor for my book, and she just sent me initial edits. So I haven't looked at them yet.
For your novel?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's exciting. Mm-hmm. Congratulations. That's so
Thank
cool.
You. She did say, she was like, it's going to look like I'm saying a lot of bad things, but the book is really good. This is just how we clean it up. And I was like, yeah, I'm not looking at that today.
Not yet.
I'm going to look at that in the morning.
Yes. Oh, that's so exciting. Yeah. Well, best of luck for, your future edits. We will be, myself and all of our people that tune in will be following along in the journey. Can't wait.
Thanks. How are you minus travel woes?
Good. I have had a very crazy start to July. We're recording this literally mid-July. It's the 15th is the day that we're recording. It's coming out after that, obviously. But yeah, I have been traveling. I was in the Outer Banks, relaxing. And then I was out at a bachelorette in Santa Fe, which was really, really cool. Just such a cool town, really cool art. I did get a cool little turquoise ring.
Ooh, I love.
I mean, you can't really see it probably from there, but it's I'm obsessed with it. Yeah, it was just so fun. So nice to not be at my day job for an extended period of time. So I enjoyed that. And also we had, I think maybe the last time, I don't know, whenever we recorded, we did have a little shindig for me at a birthday, because prior to my travels, we had a little birthday shindig, which was very, very fun. And I had a great time. And which I bring that as a segue to be to introduce our Hello Sister mugs. Christina got us matching mugs for my birthday. We also got each other some other gifts that I'm sure you will see in the future.
We're definitely going to be wearing one in a future episode.
Yeah, 100%. So, but this is one of our little cute matching Hello Sister trinkets gifts. This is not official merch. This is just for us for now. But hey, listen. Never say never.
If you like it, let us know.
Let us know.
And we might consider it for some of our early merch.
For sure, because the merch is definitely on the horizon. But yeah, so these are our special Hello Sister mugs. Thank you again so much. I literally, as soon as I opened it at my party, I just started drinking wine out of it. So it's a good gift when it's going to immediate use. So with that, cheers. And, I guess we can't really go right into the episode because we need our other program reminders, which is just find us online. Do you want to tell the people where they can find us?
You can find us on Instagram at Threads at Hello Sister Podcast, and you can email us at hellosisterpodcast1864@gmail.com. You can also follow my bookstore, A Novel Idea Philly, on Instagram, or go to our website, anovelideaphilly.com. And as always, just telling people about the podcast, liking, subscribing, reviewing, etc. It all helps so much. So thanks for supporting us.
Yes, thank you so much. Did we say the email too, or the Gmail too?
I did.
We did. Okay, great. I was just momentarily blanked out there for a second.
You got so excited about the mug.
I was literally thinking about the mugs. I actually, no joke, my brain literally was because people aren't not everyone listens to this listens to this visually. So I was maybe we can do a little post of the mugs, and that was my side thought. So
we can absolutely do a post of the mug.
Yes. That was where I was. So thanks so much. So now, without further ado, shall we dive into episode 20?
Let's.
Woo!
All right. Let's dive into episode 20 called Blood Brothers. This episode was directed by Liz Friedlander.
Is Liz new?
I think so.
Liz, welcome.
Liz. And written by Kevin Williamson and Julie Pleck, our showrunners. And this episode aired on April 29th, 2010.
Ooh, we're getting towards the...
We are so close to the end.
We are so close to the end. Oh, my goodness.
As always, I will share the IMDb synopsis. Elena learns what happened when Damon and Stefan were returned. Pearl has an ugly confrontation with John Gilbert. Jeremy and Anna get closer. I mean,
all right,
correct.
Sure. Sure. I mean, I guess that pretty much about covers it. The main points, even, really. All right. Well, you know what? Yeah, don't hardly have big qualms with this one. All right, IMDb. Staying true. Good job. All right. Well, let's get into our episode. Our opening scene. Jailbreak gone bad. We are at the Salvatore boarding house / woods in an 1864 flashback. So Stefan is where we left him the last episode, locked up in the basement, laying down, coming off of his blood binge. He starts hallucinating. In the flashback, he hallucinates into a flashback. So in the flashback, we see townspeople capturing vampires with Jonathan Gilbert leading the charge. He's using the watch to confirm vampires. Some townsfolk bring over a vampire to him, and they place a vampire muzzle over his head. Stefan and Damon are looking on from afar. Stefan tells Damon to circle around one way, and he'll distract the mob. He calls for the mob and tells them that he saw a vampire over another way, so Damon can get over to the wagon, and we can assume that that wagon is holding Catherine. He knocks out the person on guard and opens the wagon. Stefan meets up with him and says they don't have long. They go into the wagon and rescue Catherine. They untie her and remove her vampire muzzle, and Stefan tells Damon to hurry as they hear the mob coming. Damon finishes untying Catherine as he gets up and he is shot. Oh my goodness. Stefan goes to see his brother, but it's clear Damon is dead. Stefan looks up and sees the mob coming their way. He goes over to grab a rifle, but is shot by someone we cannot see, and Stefan lays dying with a vervain-riddled Catherine. We hear Damon call Stefan's name, but it's in the present. Damon and Elena are checking on him. We can also hear Elena call his name, as well as her telling him she loves him, which in the past is the same thing that Catherine's saying them into their compromised state. So it's kind of like this little overlay between Elena and Catherine and like Damon and Damon. Back in the past, the mob makes it over to the trio, and they pick up Catherine and put her back in the wagon, leaving the brothers for dead. We get another glimpse of Elena in the present day, and as this happens, that cuts between Jonathan Gilbert taking Catherine away in the wagon and Damon and Elena exiting the basement. In both places, Stefan is laying, looking on, barely with it. Cue title card. Okay. I have questions.
We both do.
Yeah. So, all right. Why did they just shoot the brothers and just take Catherine? Because, if they shot at them, wouldn't they also assume they're vampires too? I'm just, confused as, why we're just, shooting civilians if we're, if the goal is to be getting the vampires. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. I have questions too. I guess it's because they're seen as sympathizers. Giuseppe had warned that anyone who helped the vampires would be considered an enemy in a previous flashback. But I also question why the brothers take Catherine out of the wagon and in the open just start removing her binds, carry her into the woods where you can hide.
Literally go anywhere else but
and
right
then,
in front of the
when
wagon.
you're hiding, give her a little bit of your blood.
Yeah.
I also have questions about, how long has passed since she drank from Stefan in the house. Would she still be this weak?
Yeah.
We saw Lexi perk up pretty fast after she was vervained at the grill.
Yeah, that's true.
And she got a full dose of it.
Yeah.
A concentrated dose of it, whereas Catherine was drinking from Stefan, but how much vervain actually got in her system?
Right. Yeah, that's definitely a good point, because you would think she'd be able to basically power through it to get herself out. And does that, I can't remember, in that previous flashback in a previous episode when we were looking in the past, didn't she try to struggle to get away at all, or no? She just pretty much went down and they got her. So
yep, and Giuseppe put a robe on her.
That's true, because he needed to keep her decent, of course. She was too sexy, and that's fair.
We concur.
Yeah, so those are all just, I don't know. I think in general, this is like a cool opening scene. I mean, Stefan's really at his lowest, but I think the way it's like shot of the past and the present of just that overlay, the little like camera work that's being done there, I think is like really cool. Cool.
Yeah.
It's like really well shot.
Yeah, it's super well done.
So just very fun. I like when they get to do like fun, like when the camera team, and they probably like this too, when they get to do like fun, cool stuff like that.
I agree.
All right, next scene.
Chewing on immortality. We are at the Salvatore boarding house in the present and then at the quarry in 1864 in a flashback. So we open back after the credits to Stefan laying down, still locked up in the basement. Elena looks into his cell and tells Damon that it's hard seeing Stefan like this. Damon reminds her that she's the one who locked him up. She shoots back saying that he helped. Damon says, I couldn't have him running around chewing on people while the town was looking for vampires, now could I? Elena says it doesn't have anything to do with him caring about Stefan, and Damon tells her that caring is her thing, not his. We then pan into Stefan laying and looking at his hand as we move back into a flashback. So we're in 1864 and Stefan is awake after being shot. He sees that his gunshot wound has healed underneath his shirt and notices the daylight ring on his finger. Emily Bennett is with him and tells him that Catherine had her make it for him weeks ago. Stefan is understandably confused and asks where he is, and Emily tells him they're at the quarry just north of town and that Emily's brother and Emily brought him there last night because he was found dead in the woods. We did not know Emily has a brother.
Yeah, that's new.
Stefan asks where Damon is, and she gestures ahead to a shirtless Damon sitting by the water. He looks back to Emily and starts to ask if he's a vampire, and Emily tells him not yet. He's in transition. Stefan is unsure how this happened. Emily goes on to say that he had Catherine's blood in his system when he died. Still confused, Stefan asks how because he had never drank her blood, and Emily informs him that Catherine had been compelling him to drink her blood for weeks. He then asks about Damon, and she says that no compulsion was necessary and that Damon drank Catherine's blood willingly. Stefan walks over to join Damon by the water, and Damon says, I woke up last night. I didn't know where I was. I went to the church, and I watched them drag her inside. Then they set fire to it, and the whole church went up into flames. They killed her, Stefan. She's gone. Back at the boarding house in the present, Elena is getting ready to leave while Damon is looking at the object Pearl gave him. Elena asks if he's figured out what it is. He tells her no, and that whatever it is, it doesn't work. Elena asks if Pearl said anything else about it, and Damon only says that Pearl stole it because she thought it was the vampire compass, but that was the pocket watch we know and love. He then asks Elena if she's talked to her uncle recently. She says no, and that she's been actively avoiding him, and that she's been at the boarding house mostly. Damon asks if she'll be there again tonight, and she says she will be, and sarcastically asks if that's a problem, and he sarcastically responds in kind that she's a nuisance. Elena laughs it off and says she'll see him later. Okay, so Emily has a brother.
Emily has a brother. Would love to know who that is. I don't know if we'll ever find out. I can't remember, but maybe.
I don't think we ever see him.
So, all right. Well.
So, okay, what else? I do think it's worth noting because this episode is called Blood Brothers, and we're going to learn whether or not you watched the full episode or not. We will, over the course of this episode, talk about where the feud for the brothers really began. And I think it's worth pointing out that when Stefan comes to, he immediately asks about his brother.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, he does not ask about Catherine.
Yeah, that is really interesting.
Also interesting, according to Emily, Damon was not compelled by Catherine.
Yeah.
I had assumed she had unknowingly, compelled him, but I guess he was right, and she never compelled him.
Yeah, he was all in. I mean, that's kind of like when they were doing that thing where she was like showing him how to hunt a little bit in the woods that one time. It seemed like he was all in, even if he was kind of disgusted by it.
Yeah. Another question. Why did Damon wake up so much earlier than Stefan? They died only minutes apart.
Yeah. I mean, well, I guess Damon died first, so it would make sense that he woke up first. But maybe it's just kind of like internal bodies.
Yeah.
Whatever. But yeah, it did seem like Damon was so much like he was like already out there like looming and processing, but maybe that's just in the way that they died or like however they were shot. Like maybe it was like harder for Stefan to come back too. Like, I mean, I know they were both basically, they were both like shot in the chest, right? I think.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe it's just dependent on where it was hit. I don't know. Or he was just a sleepy boy.
I guess so. And then this is not a question. In the present day, I love Damon's sweater. There's something about a man in a sweater, and I think it's like a nice navy, and he looks great.
Yeah.
And then my last question for this scene is how much time has passed from the Miss Mystic Falls pageant? Because Elena has obviously been here at least a couple of nights. Where does Aunt Mom think she's been sleeping?
That's so funny. I have some commentary on that in our final thoughts because I have thoughts about this too. Like why?
Yeah.
Like where's Jenna? Even though Jenna, well, we'll hear of Jenna being around in a future scene.
We sure will.
But she's nowhere to be found.
Right.
So yeah, I have more on that later.
Great.
All right, on to our next scene. Old lurky me. We're at Mystic Falls High. Jeremy is walking to class and Anna surprises him. He asks her what she's doing there, and she tells him that she's picking up her class schedule because she's attending high school now. She's starting tomorrow. Jeremy's surprised by this, to which Anna replies she beat her mom down to let her go. Jeremy asks what we all ask when vampires willingly decide to go to high school because it blows, and she asks she asks him if she needs to answer why she's deciding to go to school. He asks her if she'd suffer enough through all that if she would suffer through all that just to hang out with him, and she says she would. Jeremy pauses at first, and Anna asks if it's stupid, pathetic, or just old lurky her. He responds by saying it's awesome, and they kiss. Oh. Yeah, I as much as I've been a germ, this is cute. I think it's been pretty cute. And I don't know, what do we think about the high school thing?
I mean, I just want to say thank you, Jeremy, for asking the question that we have, because we've been asking it about Stefan this entire time.
We really have. So, I mean, I'm glad. See, I feel like Jeremy has his finger on the pulse on things that just his sister does not. You know what I mean?
He's the brains of the operation.
Yeah, he definitely clicks into certain aspects, being well, that's weird.
Why would you do that?
And I love that about Jeremy. I think that's actually a continued trait for him, in future seasons too. So.
I agree. All right, next scene. You tried to kill me. Yeah, well, you did kill me. The Salvatore boarding house / the Gilbert residence. Damon checks in on Stefan downstairs in the basement and tells him he's brought him something to eat. It's a water bottle filled with animal blood. Stefan is sitting inside the cell with his head down. Damon reminds him what will happen if he doesn't eat. Stefan says he's not hungry, and Damon says of course he is, because they're eternally hungry. Damon notes that the human blood should be gone from Stefan's system by now and questions why he is still down there feeling sorry for himself. Damon tells Stefan to drink up again, throwing the water bottle at him, and Stefan just ignores the gesture. Damon eventually gives up and says fine, what does he care? He then walks upstairs as his phone rings, and it's Rick. Damon asks how Rick got his number, and Rick says it's a mystery.
Oh my God.
Alaric informs Damon that he's been doing some digging on Elena's uncle and asks if he's interested. Damon asks what kind of digging, with Rick saying he has an old friend from Duke who studied criminology and is pretty good at digging.
I don't think it's Duke from Duke.
I don't think it's Duke from Duke either, no. Oh my God. Rick's friend has been tracking John's cell records, and it appears that he's been in contact with the same number Elena used to call Isobel, but then the number was disconnected. So he started contacting a new number that Rick's friend was able to track and get a location for, which happens to be in Grove Hill. Damon is surprised by Isobel's location and asks Rick for the address, but Rick says no because he insists on draining him. Damon says no because Rick's tried to kill him, but Rick also points out that Damon did kill him. Damon has another incoming call and puts Rick on hold, and it's Elena, letting him know that she's grabbing clothes and heading over. She asks how Stefan is, and Damon reports he's extra broody. He tells Elena to hold on while he flips back to Rick, telling him to drive and to pick him up in an hour. Rick agrees. On the other line, Damon continues to inform Elena on Stefan, letting her know he's not eating anything. She very awkwardly asks what his favorite animal blood is, and it's hysterical. They jab back and forth. Damon tells her that Stefan likes puppy blood, little golden retriever puppies with cute floppy ears. She shrugs off the sarcasm and hangs up. When she goes to close her closet door, Uncle John is there. Elena's caught off guard and greets him. He proposes that they talk because they haven't had an opportunity to catch up. Elena says she's heading out, but he insists it won't take long. We see John pick up a photo of Elena's parents. Elena goes on to ask John what he wants to talk about, and he comes right out to say he knows Elena knows about vampires and that it's silly to keep pretending. He asks her what she thinks her mother would say if she knew she was dating a vampire. Elena claps back, asking which mother, and leaves.
Hell yeah. I mean, like, that's a great clapback for her. Like, I'm just glad that she's ready for that zinger. But like, so what do we think about like Stefan? So he's not like really being held prisoner. Like, what is going on here? So he is and isn't. Like, what do we think?
I think at this point he is now a willing
prisoner.
He's imprisoning himself.
Yeah, just to like keep everybody safe. But yeah, it's intriguing, but I mean, poor guy. I mean, I don't know. It's tough. It's tough seeing him like this. But you know what is working for me is the Rick and Damon team up, because
they just have a fun energy.
Yeah.
And conversations.
And it's definitely like, I know sometimes that we like will ship characters that like definitely don't have like a romantic history. But like this doesn't feel like that. Like this is like they're bros, like they're friends. Like, you know what I mean? Like you just know when like characters can kind of have like a queer coded subtext and when they're not. And I'm like, these guys are just kicking it like bros, or like, that's what I want them to be, you know? Also, like, are Elena and Damon flirting because it feels like they're flirting?
My hot take is they're always flirting.
They are. This is her and Matt, her and Damon. How does Stefan deal with it? I don't know. Or I guess we're going to find out. Yeah. And like, yeah, just, I said it before, but just Elena's clapback to Uncle John is she's just cutting through the bullshit, which is good because she should, because they're just dancing around it, and I'm glad that she's like, hey, I also know that you're not being straight with me either.
Yeah. I also love him cutting through the bullshit too, being like, it's silly to pretend. And I'm like, thank you, Uncle John.
Yeah.
This is great. So.
No, yeah, he's definitely cutting through the bullshit. And then like she's just kind of like, no, like I'm not gonna entertain this, which is, I love that for her, honestly. All right, here we go. Next scene. To transition or not to transition? That is the question. And I really loved that. Thank you so much. When I was reading through this earlier, I was like, hell yeah. Okay, we're back at the Salvatore boarding house and / the quarry in 1864. We come back to Stefan sitting in the basement dungeon, still rejecting the blood, and immediately cut to the past. The brothers are still in transition and sitting by the river, cleaning themselves up. Stefan tells Damon that Jonathan Gilbert has probably notified their father of their deaths by now and is wondering how he took the news. Damon says as if he cares, him being like their dad, Giuseppe, and that their father betrayed them. Stefan maintains that their dad thought he was protecting them and the town. Damon changes the subject to remark how the sun is hurting his eyes. Stefan says that the sun is hurting their eyes as part of the transition, along with the muscle aches and the sick feeling. He says Emily told him that it's their bodies pushing them to feed. Damon tells his brother that's not going to happen, implying that he's not going to transition and just die when the time comes. Stefan questions his choice, and Damon goes on to say the whole point of becoming a vampire was to be with Catherine. Since she's dead, Damon just wants to get the dying over with. All right. I think I wouldn't have expected Damon to be the one, like, not interested in living. I mean, like, not interested in living life as a vampire. And, like, not that Stefan's, like, implied it, but it's implied that that's what he wants. But, like, I'm intrigued that, like, Damon only really wanted to be a vampire for Catherine and, like, isn't really interested in his own self-preservation.
Yeah, I do think it's really interesting. And then, as always, I have a very logical question, which is, why does Damon have blood on his chest from his gunshot wound when Stefan didn't? And also, Damon has been awake and healing for much longer than Stefan. So when Stefan opens his shirt, there's no blood.
Yeah, and then
Damon hours later has blood there. It makes no sense.
Oh, my God.
Continuity.
Error. my God.
Amazing. All right. Next scene. Typical Stefan martyr stuff. We are at the Salvatore boarding house. Elena is back in the basement asking Stefan how he's feeling. She notices the undrank blood still laying where Damon tossed it. She tells him that Damon said he needs to drink. She stresses that Stefan needs it and that he can't survive without it. And he says he doesn't want to survive. Elena is upset by this, saying he shouldn't say that. But he says he means it and he wants it over and it has to end. We cut to a commercial break and we are still at the boarding house. Elena and Damon are in the library and Damon says Stefan's just being dramatic and that he's not going to starve himself. She asks why he'd say that then. Damon brushes it off, saying it's typical Stefan martyr stuff. She says that he seems to be in a lot of pain. Damon insists that it'll pass once he eats, but Elena says it's not that kind of pain. Damon still says the blood will help. He asks if she's okay at the boarding house because he has to run an errand with Rick. She asks if they're friends now, and Damon says he doesn't have any friends. Elena says right, with a weird look. Damon also suggests that she stay upstairs while he's gone and says Elena's being very trusting of Stefan given the circumstances. She tells him that he is too, or he wouldn't be leaving. Damon goes to leave and says he won't be long. Poor Steph.
Yeah. Just like heart goes out to this guy, right? Like he's having a hard time.
Yeah.
So crappy. But you know, we're working through it. Okay. Gilbert Charm is our next scene, and we're at the Mystic Grill. Uncle John sits at a table drinking bourbon while people talk and play pool nearby. Pearl enters and walks up to him. As she takes off her jacket and sits down, he tells her he's surprised she's come. Pearl responds that Jenna told her he wanted to discuss the sale of the building, which is Dr. Gilbert's office, in person. John says revealing herself to him like this is quite a risk, to which Pearl says she's not stupid and that he knew who she was when he requested the meeting. She changes the subject to bring up that Damon told her that John's looking for the device that she stole from Jonathan Gilbert. She says, I'm sure you realize I have no intention of giving it to you. He says that's why he wanted to meet, so he could change her mind. Intrigued, she asks how, and he smiles and says, with my Gilbert charm. He says he knows she has a weakness for it and asks if he can buy her a drink. He signals for the waiter.
All I gotta say is, damn, Uncle John is laying on the charm with Pearl, and she seems to be buying it a little bit.
Yeah, I said, okay, Uncle John.
Get it?
All right. I mean, yeah, she kind of was like, had a little smirk on her face, like, all right.
All right. One of my favorite lines of the episode, it's not my favorite line of the episode, but I do really love it.
Yeah.
But in my head, it's said the way Elena would say it. He's a hater, Jeremy.
It is definitely that. It sounds like it.
Instead, Anna's like, he's a hater, Jeremy.
Yeah.
My way is better. We are at the Gilbert residence. In his bedroom, Jeremy asks Anna about her mom's relationship with Jonathan Gilbert. She confirms that she was in love with Jonathan and that he betrayed her. He then asks about Uncle John wanting this invention device thing that Pearl gave to Damon, which Anna confirms. He tells her Uncle John mentioned there were more Gilbert journals, and that's probably how he knows everything. He picks up a journal. Anna crawls over and takes it out of his hands and asks if they have to talk about this all night. She tells him she told him everything. She kisses him and he tells her she probably shouldn't have. Oh, and she says she probably shouldn't have because it could get them in a lot of trouble. They kiss again, and then he gets on top of her, and they're laughing and kissing. Jeremy says he's not going to say anything, and Anna tells him her uncle wants us, meaning Pearl and her dead. He says she doesn't know that and starts to roll away from her, but she grabs him and says she does. She adds, he's a hater, Jeremy. Jeremy says he isn't, and she says, no, you're something else entirely. Joking, he asks what that might be, and all serious, Anna says, my weakness. They continue kissing, and things heat up as they start taking off their clothes. Once they're both shirtless and getting hot and heavy, Jeremy pauses the foreplay, saying he doesn't want Jenna to walk in on them. Anna tells him Jenna's in the kitchen. She just opened the fridge. He's amazed that she can hear that and says it's so cool. They continue kissing.
Oh.
So one of my thoughts is that I feel like there's some echoes of Stefan with Giuseppe here with Jeremy and Uncle John. Like Stefan believed his father would be sympathetic to Catherine once he learned she was a vampire. And even with everything Anna's telling Jeremy, he's still defending his uncle's intentions.
Yeah, I do really like that take. Like just very much giving I'm sure he's an okay guy, and when in fact he is not an okay guy when it comes to vampires, which we will learn later in this episode. But it also, this scene feels very refreshingly high school if we remove the fact that they're talking about vampires. Like, you know what I mean? It just feels very, I like them just be like, oh, can she hear us downstairs?
Yeah.
And they're like kissing and just sneak in some sexy time. So it's cute. Even if sometimes I don't always love Anna, but.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, on to our next scene. We've got company, and we're at Grove Hill Residence. Oh my gosh. Damon and Alaric walk up to the house that Rick's criminology friend tracked for them. As they step onto the porch, Damon says this is where it gets tricky because depending on the ownership situation, he may or may not be able to get in. He knocks on the door. Rick asks how that works, and Damon says he has to be invited in by the owner or person of entitlement. He adds that short rentals and hotels are a gray area, so vampires kind of have to play it by ear. Damon grabs the doorknob, and Rick asks if they can please not kill anyone tonight. And Damon responds, "You mean you just brought me along for my company?" Oh my God. That is actually also up there for me for a favorite line. That's funny. He twists the knob with his vamp strength until the door swings open. He lets Rick go in first, and Rick says it doesn't look like anyone's home. Damon looks at the threshold before lifting his foot and successfully being able to step inside. He closes the door behind him and comments that there's no permanent resident. Intense music plays as they walk through the house. In the kitchen, Damon opens the fridge and finds a bunch of blood bags. He calls to Rick, saying they have company. At that moment, a vamp jumps on Alaric and pins him against the wall. Rick punches him in the stomach with his wood knuckles.
So cool.
Wood knuckles. They are really cool. The vamp attacks him again, and then Damon just throws him to the floor. Damon and the vamp, who we know as Henry, recognize each other. Turns out that Henry was a tomb vamp. He asks what they're doing there, and Damon and Rick exchange a look.
Okay, so I'm a little confused about hotels being a gray area since the nature of hotels is that anyone can book a room.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that always be fine for vampires? Logan and Anna had no problem staying at a hotel.
Yeah, exactly. I am also confused by that. I mean, I don't know, maybe if it's like, I don't know, maybe it's like has to do with like however this is so litigious, but like maybe it's like the designation of like the whatever the title is, like whether it is like a business or like a particular person who owns the hotel.
Right? Like
I'm not sure how that works.
Could they enter a B&B?
Right. Like that feels more like probably no. You know what I mean? Because usually like an Airbnb, like not an Airbnb. Well, I don't know, maybe an Airbnb, no. Like, but like a regular bed and breakfast, I would also say probably no, because usually someone like just owns that property and then like lets people sleep there. It's very cozy coded. Yeah. But Airbnb?
This is messy.
This is messy. We'll have to, one of these days, we'll interrogate the invitation rule a little deeper.
We'll meet Paul and Ian and we'll ask them.
Yeah, we'll interrogate it a little deeper. But no, I love that you're bringing this up because it is unclear.
Yeah,
and apparently to them too.
Yeah. And then we had commented on it when Brenna read it, but Rick's wooden knuckles are everything.
Yeah. And then my question is, how was Damon so much stronger than this tomb vamp if he was basically turned in 1864? You know what I mean?
It doesn't make any sense. And Henry's on blood, so
yeah. So like in theory, any of the tomb vampires, or at least unless they were literally turned like that year as well, like I would think by the vampire strength laws, all those tomb vampires would technically be like a little bit stronger than Damon and Stefan, right?
I agree.
That's what I would think. So it's just so weird that he's just slapping him around like that because he really just got a little.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I don't get it. All right, next scene. Shame. Location, Salvatore boarding house. Elena stands at the door to Stefan's cell, watching him. He sits on the floor with his head down. We then move into a flashback to 1864. Stefan, still in transition, walks up to his house. From outside, he can hear his dad talking to Jonathan Gilbert. The camera moves inside where we see Jonathan transcribing the events of the evening for the Founders Archive. Giuseppe tells him to make sure he documents the civilians. Outside, Stefan continues to listen. His father says there were civilians as far as anyone needs to know and adds, as the record keeper for the council, what you write will be passed down through generations. Certain details should be kept only between you and me. Jonathan asks what details, and Giuseppe says his sons, adding that they will be remembered as the innocent victims of the Battle of Willow Creek, not for their shame. Jonathan Gilbert agrees. The men clink glasses, and Stefan walks away. Back in the present, Stefan finally looks up at Elena and tells her that Damon hasn't fed him vervain in a while. He could be at those bars in a flash and kill her. Elena says he could, but he won't. He asks her to please go away, adding that he doesn't want her here. He puts his head back down. Elena unlocks the door and opens it. Stefan asks what she's doing. As she walks towards him, Stefan tells her to get out of there. She says no. He tells her she's taking a stupid risk and he could hurt her. She shrugs and says, then I'm stupid, and picks up the water bottle of blood. She tells Stefan he needs to drink it and holds it out to him. He tells her to get out of there or she'll regret it. She tells him again to drink, and he slaps the bottle out of her hand and gets really close to her, all vampy, and yells at her to get out. Elena holds her ground and says, no. They stare at each other, and Stefan gets control of himself. He hangs his head and turns away, walking over to his cot and sitting down. All right, so Giuseppe and OG Jonathan Gilbert changed the archives. What else do we think the founding families changed, omitted, or embellished?
Oh, like way too many
Everything?
things. Like literally everything. I mean, it just makes me, we can definitely take a pause and think, like, there's already that. I'm sure there's any kind of record that's like emboldening or like kind of overly sensationalizing like the founding families, I'm sure, that like make them seem like such heroes and great people, which we can
They've created a battle that didn't happen.
Right. Like there's just, they're just fabricating on everything, of course, I'm sure. But it just makes me like thinking about that. But literally that scene made me think about just how in our own history, how like the people that are that get to write the history down and like make it are rarely the people that are fully experiencing what like is actually happening. And so it's like washed over in a certain way or has a certain bias. And I just don't like that because
they're usually shitty white men.
Usually shitty white men.
Like these two.
Exactly. So I'm like, well, that's a bummer. Yeah, it just really makes you think. And I hate that we are seeing like these two white men, these affluent white men, like actively changing the history of their town to like suit their needs. It's really annoying.
Yeah, it is.
Hate.
And then I'll just say that can I say words? Elena's standing by her man, and it's making me really respect her. And I put LOL after that because I feel like in general I don't respect her. Yeah. But in this episode, I do.
She's got her like highs and her lows. Like I think that Elena is a very caring person, and like that is definitely a big quality. And she does like see the humanity kind of in everybody. But there's just certain functional things that she's like not always good at, or like isn't always seeing something, like, you know, mindlessly flirting with her ex or with her boyfriend's brother. Girl. All right, next scene. All right. Match.com, there's so much to learn. And we are at the Grove Hill residence. Henry asks Damon and Alaric how they know John Gilbert. Damon lies, saying that he's known John for years and that they're good friends. He then asks Henry how he knows him, to which Henry says he met John right after he got out of the tomb. He says that John's been helping him adapt to the new world. He adds, cars, computers, Match.com. There's so much to learn. And tells him that John helped him get this house. As he takes a blood bag out of the fridge, Rick asks if he lives there alone or if someone else is there. Damon jumps in, saying this is his friend's passive-aggressive way of asking if Henry knows a woman named Isobel. Henry says he doesn't know anyone named Isobel. He knows John, and he's his only real friend. Oh, boy. He mentions additional ways John has looked out for him, teaching him how to use the microwave and do laundry. Alaric asks what Henry does for John, and he says he keeps an eye on the other tomb vampires for him, and says they're still pissed at the founding families for trying to burn them alive. I'm cool, but those tomb boys, they want revenge. This guy. What? Rick asks what John wants with them, and Henry says to keep an eye on them and to make sure they stay out of trouble. As Damon makes a crack about John being a do-gooder, Henry's cell phone rings. It's John. Damon jumps up, asking if he can talk to him, and Henry happily complies. But then Damon doesn't answer the phone. Henry asks if he's going to get that, and Damon then repeats the question to Rick as they exchange a look. Henry, finally catching on, asks what's going on, and he vamps out, going for Alaric. Damon grabs him, and Rick stakes him. Damon says to Rick, "Let's not kill anyone tonight." Your words. Just pointing that out.
Oh, Henry. What a sweet-natured and naive vamp.
Truly.
I don't think they had to kill him in this moment. I'm just
No.
saying.
No, they could have easily subdued him like they just did in those previous scene. He was just trying to vibe. But I'm just like also curious how he bought like John's kindness after like what happened. I don't know. Like it just feels
I mean,
very
he just
trusting.
immediately trusted Damon and Rick.
Yeah, I guess it's just his nature being very trusting. And it got him killed. Sorry, Henry.
Aw. All right, next scene, white picket fences and a stake to the heart. Or at the Mystic Grill. John comes back to his and Pearl's table and apologizes for stepping away to make an ill-timed phone call. Cutting to the chase, Pearl asks John why she should give him the device. He says because he can help her. He's connected and the council is eating out of his hand. He adds that he knows she just wants to live her life complete with a white picket fence, and he can help her do that. She points out that the device doesn't work, so why would he want it? He says it's a family heirloom and that he's sentimental. She says that Jonathan was ahead of his time, to which John tells her he read his journals and that the OG Jonathan Gilbert wrote about Pearl. He tells her that she was his one regret, that Jonathan loved her and hated himself for what he did to her. Pearl tells him he's lying, but John insists he isn't. On the last days of Jonathan Gilbert's life, he wrote how sorry he was. He adds, "You were the only woman he ever loved." Pearl looks moved by this. But then Uncle John starts chuckling. He says, "Good God, you vampires, you're so emotional. Jonathan Gilbert hated you. His only regret was that he didn't drive a stake through your heart himself."
Rude.
Rightfully pissed, Pearl stands as John sips his drink. She tells him she gave it to Damon, which wipes the jackass smirk off his face.
Hell yeah.
She repeats that she gave it to Damon and tells John she's sure Damon would be delighted to give it to him. She says, "And then, Mr. Gilbert, may you rot in hell." She leaves. It's a real performance from Uncle John, and it's the first time we're actually getting to see him be an asshole / jackass.
Yeah. Yeah, this is Jackass John right here. And also like I gotta give it to Pearl for being so refined after this dig and just being like, "May you rot in hell," and then just like walks away. Like she says it so calmly.
She's a lady because she's 550 years old or whatever.
She's a lady. And like John, Uncle John, boo, you stink. Okay. Anyway, next scene. Choices. Salvatore Boarding House and Salvatore State 1864 are our locations. Elena and Stefan sit on his cot in the dungeon. She begs him to talk to her and explain why he's not feeding. He tells her he's making the decision he should have years ago. She asks what he's talking about, and he tells her that you have to feed in order to complete the transition into a vampire. She knows this, of course, and then he tells her it was a choice he shouldn't have made. We move into a flashback to the night Stefan and Damon turned. Giuseppe sits at his desk journaling. He looks up to find Stefan standing in the doorway. Giuseppe's freaked out. And Stefan says to him, "Even in our death, you only feel shame?" And his father says that Stefan, is one of them now. But Stefan corrects him, saying, "No, he's just come to say goodbye." Giuseppe says he watched Stefan die, and Stefan is confused and asks his dad if he was there when him and Damon were shot. Giuseppe says he pulled the trigger himself. Yikes. Stefan says, "You killed your own sons?" And Giuseppe replies, "You were both dead to me the moment you sided with the vampires. I only thank God that your mother isn't alive to see the disgrace you've become." Stefan tells him that he hasn't turned yet and that he doesn't want to. He says he's going to let himself die. Giuseppe says, "Yes, you are," and grabs a wooden rod, breaks it into two, and lunges for Stefan. Stefan pushes him away, throwing him across the room with his new strength. The stake intended for Stefan has stabbed Giuseppe. Stefan runs over to his father and tries to help him, pulling out the stake, but Stefan stops when he sees the blood on the wood and his hands. He stares at it, listening to his father's rapid heartbeat, and brings his bloody fingers to his mouth. Giuseppe is disgusted by this and is forced to watch his son reach inside his wound and lick the blood from his hands. Stefan's eyes turn veiny, and he grunts as his fangs grow. He asks what's happening to him, and we see him in full vamp mode. Back in the present day, Stefan asks Elena how she can even look at him right now, and she says that he needs to be able to talk about these things and that she needs to hear him. She says she takes his arm and tells him to come upstairs, and that they can keep talking. And he says, "You're so sure I'm ready?" And she nods. She takes the daylight ring out of her pocket and tells him when he feels the same way, she'll be upstairs, and puts the ring on the cot and walks out of the cell.
Okay. Damn, Daddy G. That's what I'm calling him, Daddy G.
Daddy G.
That's ice cold to murder your son.
Yeah, holy shit.
But you know what? I don't feel badly for Giuseppe because karma's a bitch.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad he's dead. He deserved it.
I do wonder if now having this reveal, it further colors when Elena thought she and Stefan were having a fun date, and meanwhile Stefan's beside himself because they're digging up his dead dad. And I wonder if some additional guilt was there because
he's definitely the one that, yeah, that's definitely potentially true for sure. And then, like, I mean, like, Stefan's inability to stop the process once the blood is out looks very similar to Vicky. Do we think there's like a true incapability to resist it, or like how do we feel about that?
I think it would take a lot to resist it, especially when, you know, he has like a big wound in that moment. So.
Like just like being able, like, it's just kind of like, which I want to put a pin in that because we'll talk about this later. But like it does feel like, you know, like, because I think, you know, back even when we think about Vicky in this scenario, like Vicky also like didn't want to become a vampire originally, and she's like ready to kind of let it go, but then, you know, all the kerfuffle with Scumfell happens and she like ends up tasting some of the blood. So I feel like that's just it feels very mirrored in this moment, and that they both just like couldn't help themselves. So
yeah, I agree. All right, next scene. Isobel with a cigar and slippers at the Grove Hill residence. Damon empties a blood bag into his glass. He asks Rick if he's found anything yet. Rick says no. Damon tosses Rick a bottle of beer that he found behind the fridge. Rick opens the beer and says this is a real dead end. Damon asks what he thought they were going to find, adding Isobel with a cigar and slippers as he rifles through some papers on a desk. Rick laughs at this. Rick rubs his face and sighs, saying he has to stop searching for Isobel. Damon says, really? After only 2 years? And remarks on how that's actually moderately healthy. He pulls a chair up to sit by Rick. Rick chuckles and says, what are you going on, 146? Damon says he figures the 200-year mark is probably a good stopping point. Rick laughs at this too, but then gets serious, admitting that no answer is enough. He says, I keep thinking I want to know why when you know the precise moment when my wife decided life with me wasn't enough. And Damon shares, she charmed me, your wife, Isobel. She talked a good game, man. She was smart. She had this excitement in her eyes. I probably should have known there was something different about her, some tie to Catherine. There had to be some reason I didn't kill her. Rick cuts him off, saying that's enough. He doesn't want to hear anymore. Damon looks at him. Rick says he doesn't want to waste any more of his life searching for answers he really doesn't want. He says he's through with Isobel, and he's done with all of this. He stands and leaves, and Damon looks after him.
Dang.
Yeah. This is such a moment of an honest conversation between the two of them, and you can tell that Damon is seeing Rick differently in this moment and is like trying to bond with him over Isobel. And then he seems disappointed that Rick is done with all of this, which would mean him too, because he's like, I'm done with vampires. I'm done with the supernatural, right?
Yeah.
But I still ship this budding friendship, and I've decided that their couple name is Ricky D.
Ricky D. Sure, Ricky D.
It's perfect.
The Ricky Ds. I love them. Yeah, I know it's such a bummer. I think Rick, like, bummer for like, because it's clear, even though, you know, there's like the joke earlier about like Damon saying that he doesn't have any friends, but it's like clear that these two kind of appreciate each other's company in a way, regardless of them trying to kill each other. One successfully doing so. But Rick's reflection is such growth from where he started, like when he's since being like introduced, and it's like very raw. I like that Damon was joking with him about the length of getting over someone, and like the fact that he says that he stops like looking for answers, and for like for that exact moment when life wasn't enough was like a gut punch is like very relatable for folks in relationships where it doesn't work out. Like we always want to know why, like and not even just in like romantic relationships and friendships too. Like when like a relationship ceases and you don't actually have sufficient information why, like you kind of like drive yourself crazy over analyzing what made that person like leave me or like not want to talk to me anymore or whatever. And that's such a tough place to exist in. And but like the reality is sometimes we're just not afforded the answers, and making peace is like all we can do. And I think that that's like very healthy for Rick. But as we know, as this, if you have watched the episode, you know that it's gonna just more cans of worms are to be opened imminently. So
Yeah. All right, next scene. Should we stay or should we go? Pearl's residence. Anna comes into the house and goes into the living room where her mom is packing. She asks Pearl what's wrong, and Pearl tells Anna she needs to pack her things because they're leaving. Anna pushes back on this, but Pearl tells her she was wrong to think that they could make a home here and it's time for them to move on. Anna argues, saying she doesn't want to move on. She wants to stay. Pearl says they can't stay because there's too many people here who know the truth and there's too much history. Anna pushes back, and her mom tells her it's not safe here. Anna begs her, and her mom writes her off, saying this is about Jeremy. Anna says it isn't, but like clearly it is. It's not like she has friends.
No, that's about Jeremy.
But she says it's about her finally getting to build a life for herself, which I do agree with.
Sure.
Pearl says to her, "You gave me my life back. I'm just trying to protect yours." She then adds that she can't force her, and it's Anna's decision. And all I gotta say is I appreciate Pearl finally letting her daughter make her own choice.
I agree, finally, because, you know, also her daughter has had a lot more years to live and experience life than Pearl has, like, at this point. Maybe not cumulatively, but, like, she's been around the last 145 years living life, so.
Yeah.
All right. Next scene. A whole new world. As we say, a whole new world. Okay, anyway, Salvatore boarding house, Quarry, 1864. Elena writes in her diary in the library. Damon comes in and feigns annoyance that she's still there. She asks if he was expecting anything else, and he says no. He picks up her legs and sits down on the couch, putting them on his lap. Okay. She asks how his errand was, and he answers futile, before adding he thinks Rick is having an existential crisis. He asks Elena if Stefan has eaten yet, and she says, "I thought you didn't care." And Damon tells her to chalk it up to morbid curiosity. Elena says she thinks Stefan is getting there, but there's a lot of guilt that he has to deal with, and that it doesn't help that Damon spent the last 145 years punishing him for Catherine getting caught. Damon says, "This is my fault now?" And Elena says, "No, it's no one's fault, Damon. I'm just saying you're not exactly innocent. You made your life's mission to make him miserable." Damon, clearly upset, stands up and says, "Let me ask you a question. In all of this important soul searching and cleansing of demons of Stefan's past, did you ever manage to get the rest of the story?" And Elena, confused, admits that that Stefan said there was more. Damon says, "Yeah, that's an understatement," and he goes to leave. Elena chases him down and grabs his arm and asks him to tell her. We move to a flashback to Damon standing by the water. Stefan approaches with a human girl. Damon asks what his brother is doing and who the girl is, and Stefan tells him he brought her for him, and she's a gift. He compels the girl to sit. She sits down in front of Damon. Damon asks Stefan what he's done, and he says that he saw their father and that he came at him. She shares that he didn't know his own strength and that there was blood everywhere. He says Giuseppe was dying and the blood was too strong. He says, "I needed it. I had to have it." He goes on to tell Damon how incredible it is and that his body is exploding with power. Damon says no, but Stefan keeps talking, sharing that he hears from far away and can see through darkness and he can move like it's magic. He adds, "All the guilt, all the pain, Damon, I can turn it off like a switch. Catherine was right. It's a whole other world out there, Damon." Damon stands up and says that Catherine is dead and that there is no world without her. Stefan grabs him and tells him he can turn that off too. He says that he doesn't have to feel that pain anymore. Damon insists he doesn't want it, becoming a vampire. Stefan, holding his face/neck, tells his older brother that he's weak and he'll be dead soon, and Damon says he can't. Stefan turns the girl, and she stands, or turns to the girl and she stands. He tells Damon that he won't let him die. He vamps out and bites the girl. Damon watches in horror. He says he can't, and Stefan says, "Don't fight it. We can do this together." Damon looks at the blood on the girl's neck and moves closer to Stefan. or moves closer as Stefan watches. Damon feeds. Back in the present, Damon drinks bourbon. He says to Elena, from the moment Stefan had his first taste of human blood, he was a different person. I suppose I should thank him. It's been a hell of a ride. Elena is shocked by this, saying Stefan told her that he wanted to die. She puts together that this is why he doesn't want to feed now. Damon says his choice. If he's stupid enough to make it, so be it. Elena tells him not to pretend like he doesn't care, and she walks away and goes down into the cellar. Intense music plays as she finds it empty, and Stefan's ring is on the cot. She runs out of the cell. Woo, big scene.
Elena with her friggin' boots on the couch.
Elena, no.
No shoes on furniture.
No shoes on furniture. No beds, no couches.
And not in the bed either.
No in the bed. That's the worst. That's the most grievous crime. Underneath the... I would burn you. Just get away. No. Oh my God. But also, like, not only Elena's boots on the couch, but Damon removing her, like, said boots to, like, put himself right underneath without protest. Like, this is, like, I mean, I think this was your note, but we had the same sentiment. Like, what is happening here?
Right. They're, like, so close, and I don't understand. Like, I feel like we missed steps.
Like, what is, why are they so comfortable?
I don't think my own brother would pick up my feet. I mean, Alex would, but, like, we've been married forever.
Yeah, like, I genuinely am trying to think if any of my male friends would do this.
I've never had a partner whose brother picked up my legs and put them on their lap.
No. Like, that's weird,
What's
right?
next? A foot massage? Like, what is happening?
Like, I'm like, is that fucking weird? That's fucking weird. Let us know if you think it's weird or not weird. I feel like that's weird. That feels like an intimate gesture, just saying.
Yeah. All right. Stefan says he can see through the darkness, which proves there was no reason that the vamps needed torches or flashlights when they went in the tomb in episode 14.
Yeah. I literally had the same thought. We were right. I was literally like, why are we bringing flashlights when we can see in the dark? I don't know. Okay.
All right. So neither brother wanted to feed, but Damon admits that he probably should thank his brother, and he obviously enjoys being a vampire. So I'm definitely going to pop off on this more later.
Yeah.
Because what?
Yeah, I have thoughts on this too. Can't wait to unpack more in our final thoughts. For sure.
It's going to be litty.
Yeah, we've got a lot to say.
All right. Next scene. To lay me in my lover's bed, which is a line from the song that is playing during this scene.
Nice.
We're at the Gilbert residence. Jeremy sleeps in bed. The window is open. He wakes up to Anna lying beside him. He says hey to her, and she tells him it's getting impossible to sneak up on him. He tells her nice try. Anna apologizes for waking him, and he says it's okay. He's only half awake. She goes to tell him something, likely that she's leaving, and strokes his hair. He says that feels good and falls back asleep. She watches him for a minute and then kisses him. She whispers goodbye, strokes his face, and then she's gone.
Why is Jeremy always having these strained relationship with his lovers? What's this about?
I don't know.
It's always it's just what? Why?
Yeah, I don't
Sad.
know. All right, next scene, Misery and Salvation. We're at the quarry, and we'll also be in 1864. Stefan stands by the quarry where it all began. We move into a flashback. Stefan asks newly transitioned Damon how he feels. Damon says that Stefan was right. It is a whole new world. Stefan, happy, says they can explore it together. Damon tells him, you got what you wanted, you and me for all eternity, but hear this, brother. I will make it an eternity of misery for you. Stefan calls after Damon. Back in the present, intense music plays as Stefan stumbles around, reliving the past. Then moving back into 1864, Stefan sees Emily, who realizes that Stefan's transitioned. He asks if she would have rather found him dead. And she tells him that Catherine saved her life once and she owed her, but that doesn't mean I'd wish her curse on anyone. Stefan says it feels more like a gift. Emily tells him that will change. He asks her why, and she says, because even in death, your heart is pure, Stefan. I sense that about you. That will be your curse. She walks away, and he tells her to wait. Back in the present, he continues to spin out, getting increasingly upset. Elena approaches, saying his name. She tells him Damon told her the rest of the story, and she thought she might find him here. Stefan says, I should have died that night. Just like I had chosen, I should have let Damon die too. Elena tells him that he didn't, and if he dies now, it's not going to change what happened. Stefan tells her that every single person that's been hurt, every single life that's been lost, it's because of me. And Elena says, the night that my parents died, I blew off family night so that I could go to some party. I ended up getting stranded, and they had to come pick me up. That's why we ended up in the car at Wickery Bridge, and that's why they died. Our actions are what set things in motion, but we have to live with that. Stefan says that the choice he made got a lot of people hurt. Elena tells him he also made a choice to stop drinking human blood and reject the person the blood made him. He says no. She keeps going and steps towards him, saying, "That's the person who jumped into the water to save the family whose car had driven off the bridge." He begs her to not try to make this all okay. And she continues, "That's the person who saved my life." Stefan insists that she doesn't understand, and Elena tells him to tell her. Stefan says, "It hurts me. It hurts me knowing what I've done, and that pain is with me all of the time. And every day, I think that if I just give myself over to the blood, I can make that pain stop. It would be that easy, and every day I fight that. And I'm so terrified that one day I'm not going to want to fight that anymore, Elena. And the next time I hurt somebody, it could be you." Elena tells him there will be no next time, but he tells her she doesn't know that. Elena admits that maybe she doesn't, but what she does know is that he can take the ring and throw it in the quarry and let the sun rise. Or he can take the ring, put it back on, and keep fighting. She puts the ring in his hand and kisses him. She tells him it's his choice, and then she turns and walks away, holding back tears. Stefan looks at the ring and then after a moment says her name. She turns to face him. He slips the ring back on his finger and walks over to her. He kisses her and they hold each other.
Aww.
I literally have chills reading that scene and reliving it. All right, so to back up a little bit, I don't get why Damon feels this way.
Same. It just makes no sense because he barely put up a fight against the blood. And, we'll definitely talk about this more in final thoughts, but we'll mention it here being this is a thin excuse, Damon.
Yeah, very much. Interestingly, Emily shares that Catherine saved her life once, and I would like to know more, please.
Yeah.
And then also look at Elena putting two and two together quickly. Truly, Elena for the win in this episode.
Yeah.
I'm gonna reveal it to you right now. I'm marrying her this episode. I already pre-decided.
An early reveal. Oh, she's a keeper.
She's a keeper in this episode. Minus the feet on the couch
and flirting with Damon.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
She can't be completely unmarred by her Elena Elena-ing, if you will.
But she's perceptive in this episode. And then my last thought about this scene, because we'll dive into things more in our hot takes, is that Damon should be there with Elena trying to convince his brother to choose to keep living.
Yep, I have more on this too in our later thing. I think just Damon being present would be more powerful, and can't wait to talk about that more in our final thoughts.
Can't wait.
All right, we're around into the last few scenes of this episode. Next one, I'm coming with you. And we are at Pearl's residence. Pearl packs up her files. Harper walks in and sets down her bags. She thanks him and he says, "You're welcome." She says that he doesn't have to come with them if he doesn't want to. And he says, "This was never my home, Miss Pearl. I was just a soldier who was left to die. You saved me. I'm coming with you." Okay. Pearl nods and offers to help Harper with bags, and she picks them up and walks to the door. As she opens it, a stake shoots her through the air and goes into her heart. She falls down dead, and Harper catches her.
Okay, so I'm so glad to see Harper again and learn a little backstory, but no, Pearl.
Oh no, our girl Pearl, she down. But I think this may be a hot take, but is it bad that I don't care that much? I care kind of, but vaguely. Because
I don't care that much about it. It's more so the trauma of what it's going to do to Harper.
I mean, that is, I agree. I think
we just got him back.
Well, yeah, that's why I was I don't really, as we know, we've been very vocal about the Tomb Vamp storyline, and really the only good thing about it came out of it was Harper, in my opinion.
Both of our opinions.
And and then, but yes, so we were in agreement there. That's because I was is there really anything else? I don't know. I can't really think of anything else. So, yeah. So, Harper, only good thing about the Tomb Vamps. All right. All right. Brotherly Truths, our next scene. Salvatore boarding house. Damon sits by the fire looking at Jonathan Gilbert's invention. Elena and Stefan walk in hand. Elena tells Stefan that she'll be upstairs and leaves the brothers to talk. Stefan thanks Damon, and Damon says snarkily, "No, Stefan, thank you. You're back on baby blood, and I'm the big-ass brother again. All is right in the world." Stefan sits next to him and tells Damon that he means it, and he thanks him for helping Elena take care of him. Damon tells him that he broods too much and that everything on the planet isn't Stefan's fault. He says, "My actions, what I do, it's not your fault. I own them. They belong to me. You are not allowed to feel my guilt." Stefan asks if he feels guilt, and Damon answers if he wanted to, it's there. And Stefan accepts this and stands going to walk away. Damon shares that Emily waited until after I turned to tell me that she'd been successful in protecting Catherine with her spell. She didn't want me to know about the tomb. She thought it would impact my decision. Stefan turns around and says Emily didn't want either of them to turn and that she said it was a curse. Damon replies, "Witches, judgy little things." Stefan asks why Damon didn't tell him, and Damon says because he didn't want him to know. Because he hated him and still does, and Stefan says he knows. Damon says not because Stefan forced him to turn. Stefan asks them why. Like, why was Damon upset about all this? And then Damon walks over to his brother and says, "Because she turned you. It was just supposed to be me, Stefan. Just me." And he walks out of the room. Oh my gosh. Damon's jealousy runs so deep. And like, I will say, I do enjoy that Stefan is saying that
Damon's saying?
Damon is saying that, like, what he has done is on him, not Stefan. Like, I'm glad that he's, like, taking that accountability. But it is, like, tough. It's interesting, and, like, maybe I'll talk about it more in the final thoughts, but it's just, like, kind of another thought materializing just between these two brothers where it does really feel like, I mean, we've talked about this before with Damon and Stefan, where, like, Stefan's just, like, desire in life is, like, wanting to be, like, a good person and also, like, by extension, a good brother, whereas, like, Damon's so, like, romantically focused.
Yeah.
Like, those are, like, that's, like, true, and I think that's something we'll be able to keep tracking throughout, and maybe we'll talk about it again in, like, later in our final thoughts, but
definitely.
Yeah.
All right, next scene, an update about the vampires. We're at Pearl's residence. Anna comes home and finds her mom and Harper staked. She drops to the floor and pulls the stake from her mom and cries, begging her to not leave again. Outside, we see stakes thrown in the trunk of a car. John Gilbert closes the trunk and dials Sheriff Forbes. He apologizes for calling so late and says he has an update about the vampires. My biggest thing is that Harper deserved better than an off-screen death. Like, we don't even really see it in this scene, and it's fucked up.
Hate that. Like, just not only did he deserve better than an off-screen death, he should have, like, screamed as soon as he saw Pearl go down, in my opinion. Like,
survival skills, bro.
Like, Harper, I just wanted you to be free. Like, you know what I mean, though? Like, and I know this is, like, definitely, I feel like we're having, like, kind of like we're going quick through these things because we have a lot of, like, final thoughts that sort of, like, unpack a lot of these things kind of in more holistically than just, like, scene by scene. But, I mean, I feel like he could have gotten away, I guess, is what I'll say.
I agree. All right. Final scene of episode 20, Isobel. We're at the Mystic Grill. Alaric sits at the bar drinking alone. He rubs his face and takes a sip of his drink. A woman says, "Hello, Rick." Intense music plays as Alaric steels himself. He turns to face her and says, "Isobel." The camera pans to her and she smiles at him. Cue credits.
Oh boy. Isn't it always the freaking ex that shows up just as you're fucking ready to throw in the towel? Like, that's just so ex behavior.
So is.
But she looked really hot.
She did look really hot.
She hottie.
And I'm excited to meet her.
Can't wait to learn about Isobel, which is the title of the next episode.
It sure is.
All right. Well, we've done our deep dive. So we will move along to some folklore. All right. Are we ready for some folklore?
We sure are.
Okie dokie. All right. So in this episode, we see how the Salvatore brothers transform into vampires. So for this week, we thought it would be fun to revisit vampire transitions more in depth since we've mentioned how it's worked in folklore and pop culture before.
When we first discussed this topic, we found this excerpt from Britannica. A person may become a vampire in a variety of ways, the most common of which is to be bitten by a vampire. Other methods include sorcery, taking their own life, contagion, or having a cat jump over a person's corpse. Some people believe that babies born with teeth or on Christmas or between Christmas and Epiphany were predisposed to becoming vampires.
According to author Joe Gillis, who has, by the way, if you ever come across our podcast, this is a very extensive and cool breakdown. So we are citing you heavily for this source on our podcast, but this is a very cool. He like put together a really cool website on vampire transitions. So quote from him: "The methods of becoming one were never about glamour. They were about everything that could go wrong at the end of a life." So, what do we think about that? Like with our, like, just, I mean, I guess this can be, like, more conversational, just, like, but with this, like, excerpt, like, from Britannica, like, it does match up pretty nicely, don't you think? Like,
Yeah.
that encapsulates it so well, because it's, like, folklore usually is, like, trying to explain something,
Mhm.
and, like, that is definitely where it started. I don't know. And you, as someone that has, like, read a lot of folklore, like, how do you feel about that, I guess? Like, just to kind of, like, keep it a little conversational.
Yeah, no, I love that. I mean, folklore literally exists to try to explain the unexplainable,
Mm-hmm.
right? Especially before things like science and medicine
Yeah.
were created. And I know I've talked about in previous episodes how
Yeah.
I wish we had a little more dose of kind of that whimsy
Yeah.
quality to going through life these days,
Yeah.
because sometimes it's okay to just kind of wonder what happens
Yeah.
and guess. And I really like this quote of that it's not about glamour, it's about everything that goes wrong. And I mean, we've seen already in the Vampire Diaries multiple ways that, like, it's gone wrong. And I know we're going to talk about different vampire transitions in this folklore, and I think that's where things get interesting.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. So, what we're going to do now is we're going to kind of, like, go back and forth, sort of rapid fire through time. And we're going to walk our way through, like, literature and film and like some TV, and just see how these rules of transition start to become defined. So, Christina, I'll kick it off to you to
Yeah.
start.
All right, John Polidori's. Is that how we say that?
Yeah, I think
Polidori?
so.
Okay. John Polidori's The Vampire, published in 1819. There's Lord Ruthven, who is the titular vampire in the short story, who turns under moonlight after being wounded and rises from the dead as a vampire. I want to turn under moonlight.
I know. Isn't it so cool? I feel like I've read this story, like The Vampire, not like I read it a few years ago. Actually, a book that I purchased at a Novel Idea. What a great bookstore. But I, like, bought it from one of those, like, collections or something, because it was, like, in there, and I remember it, but I can't, I mean, I have to reread it because it's, like, been a few years, but I want to, like, reread it now because I'm, like, re-intrigued. But also, fun fact, John Polidori was at the in that, like, summer house with, like, Mary Shelley and Lord Byron, and they, like, when they were all, like, this was the one that allegedly, like, Polidori wrote The Vampire, because before originally Byron was, like, accredited to, like, The Vampire, but it's actually Polidori that wrote it. But it was, like,
So
written
cool.
the same night that Frankenstein.
I want to be in that summer house.
I mean, can we do that? Like, why don't we just, like, have a Victorian summer
summer house retreat for
house
writing?
retreat where we write spooky stories? Yeah, I think that's in our future. Okay. So let's move on to one of our favorites, Sheridan Le Fanu's Carmilla, which was published in 1872. So Carmilla doesn't necessarily transition her victims into vampires, but feeds them into a long sleep that could become their second life. So like, if you haven't read Carmilla, like, there's just a lot of what's happening with, do you remember, I forget the actual, like, other protagonist's name. I can't remember. Laura, is that her name? Okay. They just have, like, this, like, she just ends up in this very, like, dream, like, weird trance like state, but in a way it's still kind of calling to that transitional, like, liminal between life and somewhere else kind of idea. So that's kind of how they do that in Carmilla. So how about one of our OGs?
Yeah, Bram Stoker's Dracula, published in 1897. This is where we first get the concept of blood consumption and swapping of blood. Dracula bites himself and makes victims drink from his blood as he drinks theirs.
So there we go. There's that blood swap. So Dracula continues to be kind of like the golden standard, I feel like, for vampire lore. Then this is one we haven't talked about.
No.
So this was fun finding this one. So Stephen King's Salem's Lot. Have you ever read this? I haven't,
but I've watched. I don't know if I ever actually watched the movie, but I watched the most recent. I guess that was a movie or a miniseries.
I'm intrigued. I've not seen any version of it.
It's just such a long book.
Yeah. I mean, as is,
it's 1,000 pages.
As is the Stephen King way, it feels like.
Yeah.
Which is why the only book I've read from him is it a book or is it a novella? I've read The Mist.
Oh wow! I mean, I just recently read The
Shining.
Shining and Doctor Sleep, so that's over 1,000 pages.
Yeah,
combined.
we've talked about it on here, like that. You've read those, but I mean, I like his stuff. I want to read more of his work, but. He has chunkies.
He's long-winded.
But yeah, so Salem's Lot was published in 1975. King pulls on earlier folklore concept of becoming a vampire through contagion, where a bite is just enough to turn a victim, much like zombies.
And then move to a classic, Anne Rice's Interview with a Vampire, published in 1976. Rice built on Stoker's concept by including that to turn one into a vampire, the vampire must drain their victim close to death, offer up their blood, and the transitioning vampire drinks until the older vampire stops them.
Dun, dun, dun. I love. All right, here we go. Charlaine Harris, Dead Until Dark. Oh, wait, I didn't realize that was the first title of the first book.
Dead Until Dark.
That is amazing. I need to read these.
Well, I have 1 through 4. You can borrow them.
Oh my God, I think I will because it just sounds so fun. But okay, so Dead Until Dark, which is a Sookie Stackhouse novel by Charlaine Harris, published in 2001, introduced a twist into vampiric folklore by having the maker drain the human and feed them their own blood, and their body needs to be buried for a day. What Rises is not the same person. Okay. I don't know if that's how it was that really how it was done in True Blood too?
Yeah.
I'm due for a True Blood watch. I didn't realize that they feed them their own blood.
Yeah, their maker feeds them their blood because we see Bill put Jessica,
he
has to bury her and everything.
Bill. I can't. I'm coughing. I think we'll never be able to bring up True Blood without being like,
Bill.
Bill. All right, we're done.
All right. Stephanie Meyer's Twilight, published in 2005. The vampire bite has venom in it, and the transition lasts 3 painful days as the body is rewritten cell by cell. Stephanie Meyer borrowed the 3-day time frame from Christianity and venom from a snake bite.
And that's crazy. Well, she's a Mormon, right?
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
Not that surprising.
So not that surprising. But I do, you know what? As a person who only read the first Twilight book and only seen the first Twilight movie and don't remember pretty much a lick of any of it, other than I'm a killer, Bella. I don't really know anything else other than that. That's actually kind of fun that it's venom.
Yeah.
I'm into that. That's cool. Good on you, Stephanie Meyer. Cool. All right, so here's another one. Another one that we haven't really talked about.
We talked
Have
once
we talked? Oh yeah, we
briefly.
did.
We just mentioned it.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely haven't gone into depth about this one, but Guillermo del Toro and Chuck Hogan's The Strain that was published in 2009. The Strain takes vampire transition back to the contagion/plague aspect. Where the vampire bites the victim, delivers a parasite, and then the parasite changes the human into a hunter for more hosts. I really like this. It does feel a little sci-fi-y to me, that. It just feels fun. It feels very The Thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Which I
love The Thing. I just watched it for the first time last year.
Really?
And I loved it. Minus the dog stuff.
Oh, that's really tough. Yes, that's the hardest part of The Thing, and so. Well, that's, I think, Dwight's favorite. I believe that's Dwight's favorite horror movie. Jared.
It's really well done.
Yeah, it's really well done. And that's one of Jared's favorite horror movies too. And I think I don't know if they saw it, but either way, like they saw it because I think it was like they do. You know how sometimes like indie theaters do them in theaters. I would love to see that in a theater.
Oh, that would be fun.
Be really fun.
Keep a lookout
so
for it.
hey, Philadelphia people,
Film Society,
Philly Film Society, can you put the thing out there so that we can go see it? Thanks, that'd be so cool. All right, so do you want to take this next one or like just and then we can go into
in film? There have been interesting interpretations to vampire transitions that stem from literature and folklore that came before it.
Okay, so now we're like moving into film, right? So we have films that treat vampires more like an infectious disease with their own spin to it. So we have Nosferatu, which was like in 1922, Blade, 1988, 30 Days of Night, 2003, and Daybreakers, 2009. So like I kind of like put these all together because like they are like it was Joe, bless up to you again, great breakdown. I was just kind of like grouping them into a thing, which we'll talk about in a minute, but they all have kind of this like infectious disease aspect to them, these movies. So like that can definitely be like a category of like vampire transition and how someone becomes a vampire.
So there are other properties that play with transitioning vampires, like in The Lost Boys in 1987, where a human can choose to become a vampire by drinking vampire blood and can only be reversed if the head vampire dies.
That's really fun. Another movie that I still have not seen. I feel like we gotta. Well, maybe we'll have like movie club at some point where we like do
we'll
some
have to have
of this.
like a watch party for the podcast
For sure. Also another one that I feel like, or I have seen but like barely remember it.
Oh, I remember it.
I think I've seen it, but like don't really remember. Like Underworld. So 2003 treats vampires more as an evolutionary species, but requiring a bite to turn. Who is the
Kate Beckinsale?
Yeah, that makes
There's
sense.
the leather outfit that gets unzipped.
Oh,
with Scott Speedman. He's a wolf.
Oh no, this sounds great. I have to watch this like tomorrow. What? Oh my gosh! All right,
Bill Nighy. What's his last name?
Nighy? Yeah.
He's in it too.
Okay, well, I'm sold. All right.
It's great. It's so of its time.
2003, can't wait.
I think in part was a sexual awakening for me.
Oh,
I'm gonna be honest.
That's I'm literally like, oh, Kate Beckinsale. Cool. Sounds good. Sounds really good. Thank you.
So shall we move on to television?
Yeah, kick it off.
Great. Dark Shadows, something I've never seen, and I need to. I've never seen the show. I've never seen the movie. Barnabas Collins was cursed by a witch. Seems like this feels somewhat connected to what Emily calls out to Stefan in the episode.
Yeah, and like, there's probably more that we can say on this, not now, but like that feels really cool to know that that's like another like that curse aspect, which I think was like in Britannica's like thing. There was like something about it. There's some sorcery being like a way to become a vampire. So, and an underexplored one, to be honest. All right, we know where we're going here. Are you ready? No one's shocked. I'm gonna bring it up. Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Okay, so in the Buffyverse, new vampires were made by draining the human to near death, and then they drank from the vampire. The body eventually dies and is often buried, and then the transformation occurs. A demon, and this is very specific, like Joss Whedon was very specific about this, like in like the lore, where a demon takes over the human's corpse, looking like the original person, but it's not them. That was like very specific to like Buffy. Like it wasn't like it's like a thing that like it's almost like a hermit like almost like a hermit
like
crab,
a parasite,
like a parasite in that way. So it's like it's not supposed to be like the person, which if we were covering Buffy more extensively, I would say I have questions because there are things that like I feel like contradict that constantly in Buffy.
Yeah, they do that kind of a similar concept on Joanna Van Veen's Blood on Her Tongue. It's a parasite that's inside of her.
Yeah.
That's driving her to be vampiric.
Yeah. That's honestly, sneakily very good, like more modern like thing. I actually really like that. I feel like you recommended it to me and I bought it from you and I loved it.
And it was the first book rec I made for Fangs Out Friday.
It was. Okay, so there you have it. Blood on Her Tongue, Joanna Van Veen. Go check out the book and purchase it from a Novel Idea. Thanks. So...
All right. Next, of course, I'm talking about a True Blood. Obviously works off of what existed in Harris's novels. Nothing super crazy there, but it does operate.
Is there any differences that you can remember? I actually am glad that you got this so that you could remark on it if there are any notable differences.
Transition, I don't think so. There are certainly differences between the books and the
right.
show.
Like just like plot points more.
Yeah, and like something that's focused on more in the books than in the show is that so in the show the vampires like tell humans that they like aren't like they're not dead, they like have a virus.
Yeah.
Which makes them like sensitive to sun and stuff like that. But in the books it's like that's actually what people believe.
Okay.
They actually think vampirism is purely a virus.
Okay.
And so that is more rooted kind of culturally where it's just kind of mentioned in the show.
That's fun. Well, that's interesting because that means that's kind of like if we're talking about those two different like variant versions of like becoming a vampire, it feels like it's taken a little bit of both.
Mm-hmm.
Love that.
But they definitely do. I mean, I don't know if I've had anyone transition in books 1 through 4. So I don't know if I've seen one like on the page.
Okay.
But from what we talked about earlier, it is the same concept,
right?
With the burying and everything.
It's very intriguing. I kind of like the burying part. Kind of like is fun for me. I like it.
Yeah,
I like that aspect of the folklore. Not something. Speaking of, and this is all in chronological order, by the way. I did not include the dates just because, like, obviously the dates kind of range a lot more with these and whatever. I just like kind of didn't do that, but like our next one and like these are in chronological order. So if you're like tracking the trajectory, so our next one would be Vampire Diaries. What's that? No, I'm just kidding. But so we know this, but we're gonna go through it. So the person dies with vampire blood in their system, intentionally or unintentionally, and rises in transition and has to feed in order to turn, or they will die. I actually really do like this.
I like the choice aspect, the consent.
The consent, I do like. I think the taking away the like taking a little sleep in a coffin or being buried or something like that or whatever. Like I love the idea of it just being like they're existing in this liminal state, almost like that Carmilla dream like state in a way, or like just trancy. One could argue, but like. Then they have to like make a choice. Yeah, that choice is cool, and we see as our brothers begrudgingly did or didn't make this choice in the episode.
Talk about it more in a little bit.
Yeah, we will. So, all right,
next one. What we do in the shadows, mostly the bite and transform, often played for jokes.
Which is, so very what we do in the shadows. And then, of course, our most recent one with the Anne Rice's interview with the Vampire TV show and the Vampire Lestat, which I am so behind on. And I really want to catch up because I'm just loving what's out there with Lestat right now. But it's, of course, similar to the original text with them being very, like, drained pretty much to death and, like, having that transference and then coming. I did omit some things that you might notice that I did not remark upon, which is like regarding sires and makers and other things, which we will get to in
when it's
future
relevant to us.
Episodes. So yeah. So anyway, what I'll just like do this and then we can go back and forth with the other ones. So what is cool about like Joe Gill says again, thank you, Joe, for these like breakdown of vampire origins, like we can see them in these 4 categories now. So we're just gonna like kind of like name them because I think it's fun to just see this. So
the blood bond, inherited from Stoker and Rice, a bite, a near death, an exchange. The result is a permanent psychic connection between maker and progeny that often outlives both relationships and centuries. This is still the most popular method in romance and urban fantasy, and this is where our vampires of TVD exist.
And then we have the pathogen, which is inherited from King and Del Toro, Blade. Vampirism is biological. It has a vector, a progression, and incubation period. Modern science-leaning fiction treats it as something epidemiologists could track, which is exactly why it's so terrifying. I love that.
I love that too. The birthright. Inherited from Underworld and Twilight's later entries, vampires are a species. Some are born, some are turned. The roles are family business. This lane lets writers build elaborate political and biological systems, covens, councils, dynasties.
And then we have the bureaucracy, the newest lane, and the most interesting. Well, we'll see about that, Joe. We're not sure yet. Jury's out for us. But what happens when vampires exist legally? When transformation is regulated, taxed, and licensed? When black market versions spring up because the legal version is out of reach? A handful of recent series have taken this question seriously and discovered its goldmine for crime fiction. This is actually really cool, though. That's like, do you know anything that comes to mind when you think of that?
Well, I'm thinking of, it's not specifically this, but it's tied into it, is like True Blood really does start to get into the bureaucracy. And, you know, vampires do come out so that they are like fighting for legal rights.
Right. That's so true.
Doesn't mean but I don't think it's legal for them to like turn people. Like, it's complicated, but it does, you know, their blood is basically on the black market. And so I feel like that's the first thing that kind of comes to mind, but I haven't watched or read anything that like specifically looks at this, but I would like to.
Yeah, I think it's just so fascinating. But like, so I think it's just a super fun like moment to take a look at the evolution of like a vampire transition, because it's been prominent for so long and has been built upon for literal centuries, right? Like, that's, I think, the coolest part about this. And we definitely look forward to keeping an eye out on what TVD builds in the name of vampire folklore as we continue to watch through the series.
We sure do.
Yay. All right. So as we conclude on that, we will take it away for hot takes and final thoughts.
All right, let's jump into hot takes and final thoughts. I feel like since we just had that wonderful folklore section, thank you, Brenna, for really kind of steering our ship on this one this week. Why don't we talk about the transition of this episode, right?
Yes.
Like, let's talk about that. So, all right, we finally learned about the Salvatore brothers' transition into vampires in 1864. It took so long to get here.
1864, baby.
Love it. And it's a real doozy, right? Between their dad killing them, Stefan then killing Giuseppe, and Stefan convincing Damon to feed. We alluded to this earlier in the episode, but I think it's really unfair to say that Stefan forced Damon to feed. It's a pretty lackluster forcing, if I do say so myself. I'm also truly confused why Damon hates his brother so much. Okay, yes, Catherine wanted both of them to be vampires, and that's hurtful. But they also knew in 1864 when they were humans that she was fucking them both. And Damon wasn't compelled by her. So I just don't get why he thought she wouldn't want her cake and to eat it too for all eternity. And why is that Stefan's fault? Damon is a petty little bitch. Get over it. Or better yet, go to therapy.
I mean, these are all the facts. And I mean, I'll say for me, like, after rewatching the coaxing of turning Damon, we can barely say this is is him forcing to feed. Like, are we joking? Like, okay, like come on. Like, if you've watched the episode, you see it's literally like, I'm gonna just do this. I'm just gonna be like, it's just like Stefan just takes it. Just imagine that Christina's just being like pulled by me and just goes. It's like a 7th grader trying to get another 7th grader to kiss at a dance.
I honestly thought that when Stefan's just holding both of them and it's like, yes.
It's literally like, I don't want to. Okay. And it's like not even, he could have easily.
He's not like.
No, it's like so slow. It's literally so slow. Damon could have just seen himself out at any fucking point. Okay. That leads to my other. But I literally said this. This is truly what I said. I said, it's like when I gently lead my cats to their food bowls because sometimes I'm late or like feed them off schedule. They sniff it and then they finally just eat it. Wait, there's Nix's paws right there. He knows I'm talking about him. If the world could see, maybe we'll try to get a picture of it. But like literally, my cat Nix is literally
this is going in no context.
Yeah, this has to go in. But like Nix is quite literally just has.
Miss you, bud.
Oh, I love you, honey. It's okay, bub. He wants to be with us so badly. He's like, you're talking about me. Okay, but yeah,
I'm
so
dead
like
over this
comparison. Like also if Damon really didn't want to turn, he could have just waited for the sun to rise and expire himself. Like they also like vampires killing themselves after becoming vampires has always been and always will be an option.
Right.
Just saying. I mean, like, I'm not here for like the like undertones of what that means, but also if you're a vampire and that's not what you want to be, like you can just decide to not be, is all I'm saying, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. So this was something I hadn't thought about until we were talking through the episode tonight. And, Elena's actually giving rightfully Damon some shit for all of the shit he gives Stefan and has for the last 145 years.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, did he finish, like, tell you the rest of the story? Like, that's an understatement. And
it's like the understatement is the anticlimactic thing is this story.
Right. Honestly, I think Stefan killing their dad is so much worse. But something I thought about as we were talking through it is like actually the majority of this episode in terms of flashbacks, we were really with Stefan. It is actually Stefan's transition story more than it's Damon's.
Yeah.
We are finding out how Damon feels about things through his interactions with Stefan.
Yeah.
And so I think that's just a really interesting choice from the writers. Like, I think it could have been cool to give us an episode, maybe one episode from Stefan's perspective, or like half of the episode from Stefan's perspective and half of it from Damon's perspective. So I just thought, oh, okay, we aren't actually really seeing Damon's perspective. And that might help us if we could see it to be like, but I still don't understand why you hate him so much. Because, like, you fucking love being a vampire, and he doesn't.
Right. Well, and that kind of goes to the thing of, like, Damon doesn't really have, at this point, doesn't really have qualms with being a vampire and is, like, kind of good at being one, if that makes sense. And it's, like, Stefan's the one that struggles, so it's, like, he kind of like did you a favor. Like, I don't know. It's just so weird. But then also, I guess it's going back to the thing where he says how the main reason why he's mad isn't that he made him turn. It's because of like, he just wanted to be with Catherine. So again, it's like so romantically motivated instead of it being like, oh, like I want to be with the girl, and now that the girl decided that she wanted both of us, I hate you, and that's like
but instead of Damon learning a lesson from it, right? That like you shouldn't disappear yourself in another person.
Yeah,
you shouldn't make large life choices because someone wants them for you. You need to make choices for yourself. And he doesn't take responsibility for that. And like, I do have a note that I will give him some props for telling Stefan that his actions are his own. We talked a little bit about that earlier, like that his guilt is his as well. And I agree with this. And I appreciate when Damon takes some responsibility or at least acknowledges that he does carry fault and that he could feel grief and guilt if he wanted to.
Yeah.
And like, yes, not everything is Stefan's fault, but you treat him 99% of the time like it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I do struggle with that.
Yeah. Because especially when he like first rolled on to the scene in the beginning episodes, he like makes it very much like anything I do is like on you.
To spite you.
Yeah.
And it's your fault.
Yeah. So, well, to talk about fault and feeling guilty. So like I understand. So like let's talk about Emily calling vampirism a curse. So like kind of like to piggyback off of it, like again, like I mean I'm not here to being like, hey, vampires, just like if you don't want to be one, don't. But like I guess it's like a two-pronged thing because just talking about Stefan and his transition, it kind of like sort of like relates. I'm like wondering why she says that it's a curse for Stefan. Like I think a question that I've had was like she says that it's a curse for Stefan because he's pure. But he completely changes when he's like drinking human blood, which feels very contradictory to me because I'm like, okay, yes, like Stefan at his core is, I mean, it would be safe to say that Stefan at his core has a better morale than Damon, 100%. Like 100% just in general. But like but the way that they both handle being vampires, like, and when I mean vampires, I mean being like truly vampires who feed. Like Stefan's kind of worse because of, like with the blood consumption, so he's not as pure as like whatever Emily's saying. Like, I think I'm just having a hard time wrapping my mind around what she really means by that, because it's like, I mean, maybe yes, at the core he's like emotionally good, but like it's clear that like the people blood does like really radically change him as a person, whereas like for Damon it doesn't, and for a lot of vampires it really doesn't. So like, what is that about? And like, I don't know.
Well, and maybe I agree with you, and I think maybe it's because it's such a internal conflict for Stefan that he can't just be like Damon and just consume blood normally, right? Like he overfeeds, and then he has so much guilt that it's debilitating, and he has to go from one extreme to the next.
Yeah, he like
and
can't.
So like maybe that's what it is. I did make a note about Damon telling Elena that, you know, Stefan changed as soon as he drank human blood. And I actually put, but then Emily tells Stefan that even as a vampire, he is pure of heart and that is his curse. And I said, like, in my notes, like, this feels like a conflicting idea. And obviously one is Damon's opinion. But besides Stefan's bloodlust addiction, I don't actually know how he changed from human Stefan to vampire Stefan. And that's, I think, one of the big things that I struggle with so far in the show is the flashbacks haven't established enough for me of who they were as humans.
Yeah.
For me to understand, like, they were best friends, and Damon seemed a lot more carefree, and, like, Stefan was his very best friend. And so, like, obviously we've seen the change in their dynamic, and we know that Stefan has the blood addiction. But beyond that, like, is Stefan actually different than he was? He seemed to have a very clear moral compass. He saw the good in people. He, like, that all feels very like the good brother coded that he is. And Damon, yes, was like seen as a deserter and like all this other stuff, but like we never saw anything besides like how Giuseppe colored him that said that like he wasn't, like he was the bad brother.
Yeah.
So I think it's just, I'm just kind of confused about it in general.
Yeah.
Like, I think it makes sense that I do think Stefan sees his vampirism as a curse.
Yeah.
I do think that's his experience with it. But I do think it's a really good point of like, how pure is someone who that's what happens when he consumes blood, which is literally supposed to be his nature.
Right. And well, you know what? It's like interesting because it feels like, and obviously this is definitely intentional, where I feel that like Damon and Stefan, where the one has strength, the other one has deficit.
Yeah.
And that's just, I mean, they are foils of each other. So like, you know, Stefan has a rock solid moral compass. Damon doesn't. Damon often acts out of self-interest. Stefan will act out of like the interest for people, like when he's not, you know, compromised.
Logic versus emotions.
Yeah, the logic versus emotion. But then it's like in terms of like being a vampire, Damon definitely has a lot more control over himself, how he presents himself as a vampire. He can fully exist as a vampire and like be exactly like what that means without like going overboard, if you will. Because it seems like in the TVD world,
he does kill a lot of people senselessly.
He does kill a lot of people senselessly, but I would say like, even going back to kind of like our folklore section, it's like, I mean, not that I'm making excuses for the people like Damon just killed. He just killed a lot of people and it's bad. But like, two vampires, and we'll get to like explore this continually more and more as we go through the series, but it's like, it seems like sometimes people die because they're like in the way, like they just like human life has like less value to like a vampire, which sucks and I hate that. But like, all in all, he's not trying to kill, like he's not trying to kill people. It's usually like he's wiping somebody off because it's like they're in his way, which is like annoying and like that's bad. I'm just saying that like he's not like in it for the kill though. Does that make like it doesn't?
Sometimes he is, but yeah, I get
Because
what
he
you're
does
saying.
more, because he does like subscribe more, and maybe it's like as he's kind of softening, it's like more the like snatch eat erase thing, and that feels more. He's actively trying not to get caught by the council currently.
Right.
So like again, that's self-interest, but I don't know. It's just something that's like intriguing because they have a lot of like this one has this and this one has that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Since we talked a little bit about Emily just saying it was a curse, can I talk about my Emily note?
Sure.
So we learn a few new bits of information about Emily Bennett in this episode. She has a brother who we never see, and she helped Catherine because she saved her life once. We don't know any more details than that. And I'm still confused with how Emily is written. I don't know if you feel similarly, but I'm so intrigued by her character. I love Bianca Lawson, but the writers keep shifting how I perceive her. Is she a bystander who was forced to participate? Is she scheming? Does she enjoy the secrets and sorcery she's doing behind the scenes? Like, I genuinely don't know. Like, she seems very into the fact that Catherine is fucking these two brothers, right?
Yeah.
But then she's like, well, there's some stuff I can't say because of spoilers. But then there's like, even just with Stefan, she's like, this will be your curse. And she like has sympathy for that, right?
Yeah.
So I just like, I don't know. She spelled Jonathan Gilbert stuff. Like, I just don't know where she lands. And I think it's because they're just kind of writing based off of where they need her to be.
Yeah.
And it's confusing. And I think she's doing a great job, the actress, but I'm like, do you have agency or do you not?
Right.
Is it muddled? I don't know.
It feels very muddled, and I wish it was more defined because I think we would be so better served if she had like clear motives, or even if we as the audience got more clear motives from her. I think we talked about this in a previous episode where I do feel like Emily is on her own side in a lot of ways. Like, she's definitely on her own side. It's just, but what is that side? Like, but what is that side? And like, what defines whatever that is? Because I don't think that we as the audience know that. And I think that's where it kind of gets a little wishy-washy, but I'm intrigued to know. Maybe we'll find out a little bit more as we go, but I don't know. I know with just the overall treatment of Bonnie, we also know that they aren't as concerned with like hashing out that storyline. And you know what would be a good spinoff? Bennett Witches. Just saying. Free ideas. All right.
Where do you want to go next?
Okay. So, I'm trying to see if there's any one thing that would be a little more like tangentially. I mean, I guess this one little thing, because I have to always bring up Buffy always. So Stefan nearly sunning himself reminds me a lot of the Buffy episode Amends, where Angel tries to do something similar after a stretch of being like under like kind of a villain arc and feeling very remorseful. He gets, I try to not like spoil too much about Buffy just because I'm like, hey, if you haven't watched it, you should. But like there is like kind of an entity that sort of is like taunting him, and that entity sort of taunts him to the point where he feels like he needs to like kind of take similar measures to Stefan in this episode. And it just feels very spiritually connected. And you know what? They are spiritually connected not only by that plot point, but also their hair. So
my type, my vampire type.
Your type.
Yeah. I actually, you know, it's funny. I didn't write like a hot take really specifically about Stefan. I think this episode in general was really hard to, I mean, there's been a few tough Stefan episodes, and this one, like, where he wants to die.
Yeah.
And wants atonement, and I'm so glad he doesn't. But like, I also understand where he's coming from.
Yeah.
So it's really hard, which I guess will lead me into talking about Elena. Let's talk about Elena.
I have a couple things.
So
about
she's
her
a real one this episode. She stands by her man. She's compassionate to both him and Damon.
So
She's
true.
not judging it at all, right? Like, I love the line when she says to Stefan, like, you need to talk about this and I need to hear it. And I'm like, yeah, girl, you need to hear it. Because as Alaric reminded you recently, like, at the end of the day, Stefan is a vampire, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yep.
She keeps forgetting that, I think.
She does keep forgetting that.
Genuinely. And then, like, obviously, she literally saves Stefan's life.
Yeah.
So I mentioned this in my notes for the scene at the quarry, but why doesn't Damon go with her? Do we think he's so certain that she'll bring Stefan back? Because we, like Elena, know he does actually care about his little brother. And I know that you have a note about it, and that's like, yay, Elena. But then also I'm like, what the fuck, Damon?
Yeah. Okay. So I have like two little things about that. Well, I have like a couple little points on this. I'll go from like the least. I'll loop us into the center of where you just left us. So one, and we kind of talked about this earlier, but like, how is Elena able to stay over at Stefan's for multiple nights? Like, Jenna has no idea what's going on, and like, we know that from Jeremy and Anna, like, she's like them getting sexy in the house, that she's there, she's around, but like, why?
And she recently told Stefan he couldn't sleep over.
Yeah, like, I just don't understand. I don't understand this parenting style. I'm confused. And also, what is she saying? Like, Stefan's sick? Like, because she doesn't know. So what is, like, what has happened? I don't know. That one, I'm just confused.
And Jeremy has no thoughts either.
No, well, and like this, and he knows about everything, and he's not like worried. I don't know. It just, or
well,
maybe
I guess he does know that Stefan is a vampire now.
Yeah. I mean, he's read that journal,
but he hasn't like he hasn't said out loud that he knows that her boyfriend's a vampire. It's so weird.
He has not reacted to jack shit about like if he has read that.
He's perceptive, but I don't know if he really knows how to read very well because he's missing some major plot points.
Like, do you think that Jeremy's the kind of person that just only looked for himself in the journal and like skipped over all of the other stuff?
Looked for his name. He looked for Vicky. Done.
That's it. You know what? I fucking believe it.
Honestly, that's smart speed reading.
Yeah. And like, it was like,
little siblings know you don't have long.
you're like, okay, me, Vicky, Anna. Oh, Anna's mom. Forget my sister's boyfriend, who's also a vampire, and also his vampire brother. That's really funny. But yeah, like, so in agreement that I do think that Elena's been so great to Stefan this whole time and a real champion for helping him. But I will just call out the side elephant in the room, the Damon-sized elephant in the room, if you will. Like, I think the flirty behavior is like increasing per episode.
Yeah, it's not okay.
And like, it's so subtle, but it's there. And
I would say it's not that subtle.
And I'm like, this surely won't be. I feel like even in this moment, it's like so subtle for Stefan, but like, I think he like sees it.
Oh, he absolutely sees it.
And I feel like this isn't the first time he's seen it, but like, he's seen it and he hasn't said a thing, which is crazy work to me personally. Like, because it's like, at this point, he is the boyfriend. So it's like, wouldn't you just want to be like, bro, stop it? Like, I don't know. Like, to his brother? Or is it just Damon so volatile that it's like, let's not even poke the bear? I don't know.
All I'm going to say is we're going to see stuff in upcoming episodes.
Can't wait. Okay. So, that goes to my like final thing about this loop, and then we'll probably like move into like Uncle John and like Pearl and Anna and all of those guys. So, I think the ending would have been more powerful if Damon was the one who saved him instead of Elena, like just Damon, in my opinion. I know there was probably no way narratively that would have like ended up happening just because of like how resolute Elena was in like helping Stefan, or you could have just been like the one time that she left to go home because maybe Jenna actually called. See, I'm fixing this episode in real time. Jenna finally calls Elena to come home, which then is the opportunity of when Stefan decides to take his moment to like leave without his ring, and then Damon is the one that goes and brings him back, which is essentially like, in a way, giving him the life that, like, the saving Stefan's life in the way that, like, Stefan was in, I think, in his post-transitional state, was trying to save Damon's life by making him feed. And that would have been very narratively satisfying, to me personally. But
I agree. I think they can't do it because, mini spoiler, they make these brothers be at odds for
So
much
long.
longer in the series.
yeah.
And so I think that's why it
Yeah,
is.
for
But
sure.
I agree that 1,000%.
Like, that would have been just, they're definitely not there. They have so much more work to do for that to, like, be a thing that happens. But I was thinking about it the whole time. I'm like, it would have just felt more meaningful if it was Damon, to me personally.
All right, so we're going to move into Uncle John now.
Oh, you know
all right. So mine's like Anna, Uncle John, Pearl. They're all connected, right?
Yeah.
So Anna was right when she told Jeremy that Uncle John wants her and her mom dead. We'll have to see what happens in the next episode with Anna, Jeremy, and Uncle John. Will it be a bloodbath? Will there be a truce? Who's to say?
Who's to say? Do I have let's see. Okay, some of mine are like, wait, I think you might have one that may volley
I have one
mine.
about Pearl. Do you want me to read?
I'm trying to think about. Okay, here. No, this kind of goes into it. So I guess my question is, like, how did Uncle John get the jump on Pearl and Harper? Like, they do not have, like, do they not have vampiring? Like, this is where I'm, like, concerned about the rules. Because I feel like we use vampiring when it's convenient because we've seen Damon call out, like call it to Stefan before he even answers the room. Like, you know, and Damon's like, oh, hey, Stefan. Like, and he's like, can hear him. But then like Anna and Jeremy literally in this episode are you like she can hear Jenna, but then they couldn't hear rustling out like Pearl or
smell him
or smell
hear
it or
his
literally anything that would have like said, hey, there's someone outside.
I have questions.
Just a question.
Yeah. I agree. I'm upset about Pearl, kind of. But mostly I'm heartbroken over my husband, Harper.
Yeah.
He deserves so much better, and I'm pissed he got an off-screen death, and we don't even really get to see his body when Anna comes in. He deserves to be mourned.
Yes, he sure does. And I said, yeah, Harper deserved a better storyline, and I was more interested in him than any of the tomb vampires. And then do you have anything else on Pearl and them? Oh, no, you have like, we're going to save your two for last, I think. So I'll just do my last two. So I feel like we could have done... This seems like the tomb vampires are coming to a true end. I think we're getting really close to the end of this. I feel like we could have done more interesting things with Pearl than what's transpired so far. I think they did somewhat a decent job, but like I think that there could have been more fun things we could have done with her. I'm not, as I said earlier, I'm not really sad to see her go, but I just wish that they had deployed her differently, and I like sharing in a similar sentiment with like uncle, cousin, nephew Zach had to bring him back for this. Just thinking of like characters that I'm like, oh, like you were, I mean, even like Lexi too, like there are just like really cool, interesting characters that could have been like very intriguing.
It could have been used more.
That could have been like utilized in a different way. And I get it. It's a long show. There's a lot of things and you're trying to like tell a lot of story. But I mean, some of these side characters are so deeply intriguing that I'm like, oh man, like if they had just like kind of like retooled them in a way, like we could have gotten like a really cool story from them. And I do feel like that about Pearl, and like I felt like uncle, cousin, nephew could have been intriguing as well. My only like one last little thought before we get to your final two, because I think yours are more important than this one, but I'm just confused by vamp strength and how Damon was able to whop the tomb vampire who's probably older than him.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
So I don't know. I still have gripes about it. Okay. Yeah. Anyway.
All right. So I'm missing Bonnie, Caroline, and Jenna this week, right? Like you alluded to, we hear that Jenna's home, but we don't see her, and Bonnie and Caroline are missing. And then the big one is Isobel is here.
She's here.
And I'm so excited. But I also feel really badly for Rick, especially when he just decided that he was done searching for her and done with supernatural things. As you said, like, exes love to pop up in that moment, right? It's like she knew that. And you know what? Maybe she did.
She fucking did.
Maybe she's been listening in. Maybe she has little spies. And so she decided to show up.
In that hot outfit, I'm sure she was ready.
With that lip gloss.
She was ready. She was ready to come, like, be like, oh, he's about to forget about me?
Hello.
How dare she?
All right. So, favorite line from the episode.
All right. Here we go. Favorite line. All right. This is mine. This is kind of a smuggle because it's 2 lines. Damon, I'm not going with you. You tried to kill me. Alaric, yeah, well, you did kill me.
Amazing.
I love it.
I love it. All right, I chose 2 because last minute
course,
I decided
please.
to. Okay, so my first one, cars, computers, Match.com. There's so much to learn from Henry. And then I couldn't have him running around chewing on people while the town was looking for vampires now, could I? From Damon about Stefan.
Of course.
All right, fuck, marry, kill.
Fuck, marry, kill. Brr, brr, brr. You go first because you already kind of gave us a tease. So
Yeah, I am marrying Elena. Who am I fucking?
who are you fucking?
You know what? I'm gonna fuck Emily.
Ooh, okay. Or Emily's brother.
No, I don't know what he looks like.
I mean, I feel like he's probably hot.
If he looks anything like her, hello. But I know what she looks like, and I know what she has skills for. I don't really know what she's up to.
Yeah.
But I want to find out. I want some pillow talk with Emily. So, fuck Emily. Marry Elena. We're going to pretend the Damon flirting and the shoes on the couch thing didn't happen.
Sure.
But I'm going to marry her for standing by my man. Because really, I'm just married to both.
Sure.
I'm married to Stelena.
That's fair. That's fair.
Who am I going to kill? You know what? I'm going to kill Damon because I'm really mad that because I don't buy any of his shit. I don't buy the story that I'm being told about this huge feud between these brothers. And, you know, he just really needs to get over himself. Like, truly, he just needs to get over himself. And his little modicum of taking responsibility is not enough for me. And as we've talked about, he should have been the one to save his brother. And I think it's pretty unforgivable that he didn't.
That's fair.
So, bye-bye, Damon. What about you?
Oh, well, I feel like there aren't a lot of characters in this episode.
Well, I was like, do I kill Uncle John? And then I was like, I mean, he's mean to Pearl, but like, I still kind of like it.
You know, I feel like
a weird Uncle John thing.
I feel like I was like, do I want to hate fuck Uncle John right now? Maybe.
I fucked him in a previous episode.
Like, I think it's like a hate fuck because like that shit-eating grin with like Pearl in the bar. I'm like, oh, you're kind of a piece of shit. Might be fun.
So is that your hate fucking him? Amazing.
Also, I'm marrying Alaric so that he can get away from fucking Isobel. So please. And then I'm gonna kill Isobel. She was barely here, but I'm killing her because you know what? She just fucking showed up on the scene exactly when my man's was like ready to be done with it and move along, and I can't have that. He was really about to move forward. So there we go.
Amazing.
Do I have a crush on Rick? Maybe, I guess. I think that's a wrap for today.
I think so. So as a reminder, you can follow us online. It's fun over there. Please join us over at Hello Sister Podcast on Instagram and Threads. Or if you'd like to write us an email, you can do so at hellosisterpodcast1864@gmail.com.
And thank you, Christina, for not making me become a vampire alone. And as always, a huge thanks to Alex and Dwight for all their hard work and support. They do so much for us, so much more than we can even convey on this podcast, but they do a lot. So thank you guys.
And thank you, Brenna, for not blaming me for our vampire paramour choosing both of us.
That'd be a fun throuple, though.
It would be.
A power throuple, if you will.
Yes. And
I'm sorry. Who's our main vampire?
I don't know. That's
We'll have to find out.
We'll have to figure it out.
We'll have to find out.
We'll have to fuck around to find out.
We'll fuck around and find out.
Harper?
Oh my god, but I feel like that's so wholesome, but okay.
Well, we'll go with that for right now.
You can take
Catherine? That's less wholesome.
Well, jury's out. We'll find out.
We'll find out. And thank you for listening and watching Hello Sister.
Bye.
Bye.
Hello Sister is written, directed, and hosted by Christina Rosso-Schneider and Brenna Dinon. Graphic designs are by Alex Schneider. Music is written and produced by Dwight Evan Young. Sound design and video are recorded and produced by Dwight Evan Young and Brenna Dinon. Hello Sister Podcast is a Bad Day Media production.
2 of 4. Let's fucking go. We're never going to stop with that. Okay.